yeah, savoir, we love Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
In this bulletin, Pacific's tourism numbers relatively safe from coronavirus. New charges filed against suspended constables. An over $4 million project to benefit Koro Islanders.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Ateva Lendua.
The deadly coronavirus outbreak, which has sent panic around the world, should not have a drastic impact on tourism numbers for Fiji and the Pacific. A latest research by the ANZ Bank's international economist, Kishti Sen, reveals that numbers of Chinese tourists to the Pacific are growing, but still small, accounting for less than 5% of all visitors in 2019. Sen says if the outbreak is contained soon, then around 15,000 Chinese visitors will be unable to make it to the Pacific in the short term. He further added that this may be offset by high arrivals from Australia, New Zealand and the United States. With countries such as Fiji having implemented strict travel restrictions, Sen believes the number of inbound visitors to the Pacific is likely to hold up this year, especially as the outbreak has occurred during the Pacific's off-peak tourism season. 2 Fijian nationals are now under quarantine in New Zealand after arriving in Auckland on a flight from Wuhan in China last night. Health Minister Dr. Firemi Wangai-Nambete confirms the 2 will remain isolated for 2 weeks to ensure they are clear from the coronavirus. They are part of 198 passengers who were evacuated from China and are now quarantined at a naval base in Auckland. It is understood the offer by Air New Zealand was extended to other Fijians in Wuhan, but only 2 showed interest in being repatriated. Meanwhile, the Health Ministry expects to receive a medical report by tomorrow evening confirming the status of 2 citizens who have been under quarantine in Nadi since Monday. The number of deaths in mainland China due to the virus has risen to at least 562. The global death toll is 564, with 1 death in Hong Kong and 1 death in the Philippines. New charges have been filed by the state in the case of 3 suspended police constables charged for their alleged involvement in police brutality in Navua last year. Benedito Mbolambiu, Laisenia Ratubambea and Lazaro Turangandrao appeared in the Suva High Court this morning. It is alleged last November in Navua, the 3 assaulted Manasa Rayasindamu, causing actual bodily harm. Benedito Mbolambiu is charged with 1 count of acts intended to cause grievous harm and 1 count of conspiracy to defect justice and interference with the witnesses. It is alleged Mbolambiu unlawfully wounded Rayasindamu by striking his leg with a concrete block and pouring hot water on his back. On the 2nd count, Mbolambiu is alleged to have attempted to pervert the cause of justice by telling Ilaitia Nakasiale, a witness in the case, to lie to the police when questioned about the case. Ratubambea and Turangandrao have been jointly charged with 1 count of aiding and abetting acts intended to cause grievous harm. The accused are expected to enter plea on the 27th of this month. Villagers from Nakondu, Waitambu, Nasoi and Nassau on Koro Islands will now have access to new low-level bridge crossings. Prime Minister Murenge Bainimarama commissioned the projects during his 1-day visit to the island. The $4.4 million project will connect communities to each other and connect Koro with the rest of the nation. Bainimarama highlighted that Koro's infrastructure network has never been more accessible, reliable and certainly never looked better. Work on the remaining 2 schools on Koro Island will finish soon.
We look forward to the opening of the final 2 schools government is rebuilding on Koro, the Kande Village School and the Nakondu Mundu Primary School, which are set to be completed in the coming weeks. And I'd like to thank the Australian government for their assistance with rebuilding a number of Koro schools as well.
The elimination of violence against women and children is the responsibility of every Fijian, says the police force. Director Strategic Planning, SSB Aporoso Lutunaunga, says there has been a shift in the percentage of women and children in criminal data. At a joint submission to the Public Accounts Committee yesterday, Lutunaunga said this can be attributed to the changes in legislation on women and child-related cases.
These new and revised laws has brought about increased commitment of enforcement and monitoring by law enforcement and advocacy agencies. Fiji Police has incorporated, as I've stated earlier, a cabinet-approved 5-year restructure and reform that will enable the increase of staff, that will in turn entice better disposition of manpower to the many demand-related areas such as frontline operations and investigations.
There has been an increase in the number of complaints against travel agents in the country. Consumer Council Chief Executive Seema Shandil says last year alone, the council received more than 40 complaints. She says a number of consumers did not receive their tickets despite making the required payments.
In 2019, the council have found an upsurge in the number of complaints received, totaling 43 complaints with the monetary value of $61,266. We can call this just a tip of iceberg because there are so many consumers who don't report.
The Environment Ministry will soon review its awareness tactics on the ban of single-use plastic bags, which came into effect last month. Permanent Secretary Joshua Wycliffe says they have trained prosecutors and compliance officers who have been enforcing the law on the ground over the past few weeks. Wycliffe says they're looking forward to responses from the public as it will assist the ministry to put together applicable and innovative strategies. If a plastic manufacturing company is found guilty of breaching the law, they will be liable to pay a fine of up to $500,000 or 7 years imprisonment or both. Overseas, the U.S. Senate voted 53-47 today to acquit U.S. President Donald Trump on the second article of impeachment, obstruction of Congress, just moments after it acquitted him of the first abuse of power. Coming up, cricket, Fiji mourns loss of Rika.
Bula FM, number 2 NSR.
Bula FM, number 2 NSR.
Fiji has lost one of its faithful sports administrators. Cricket Fiji is mourning the loss of Joseph Rika, commonly known in the sporting fraternity as Joe. Rika, who was a former national rep, passed away on Monday, aged 33. He held the position of Cricket Fiji High Performance Manager until his passing and has been at the forefront of the sports development in the country.
The most thing that we miss about Joe is his hospitality friendship. In ground, when we talk, he always talk about cricket. He always admire us, the elders in the cricketers who have been playing cricket most of the time. As his age group, he follows the path of the young players in the team when we always travels around the world of cricket.
Nadi Football Association's outgoing president Javed Ahmed says Lautoka's big win against Nasinu has not made any impact on them. Lautoka thrashed Nasinu 6-0 in their first Vodafone Premier League last weekend. Ahmed says the Lautoka team faced a very young Nasinu side. But he says they will not underestimate Lautoka when the two teams meet this weekend. Nadi takes on Lautoka in the next VPL match at 3 p.m. this Sunday at Churchill Park, Lautoka. The Mba Under-19 youth side is the new 2019 Vodafone Under-19 Youth League champion. The team topped the final playoffs at the Fiji FA headquarters ground in Vatuanga last weekend. Ba claims the title, despite the last match against Rewa Under-19, was abandoned by the referee. The boys in black, after beating Lambasa 4-1 in their opening match, were leading 2-0 against Rewa, but the match was abandoned after a Rewa player allegedly assaulted the referee in injury time. Bart took home the $4,000 prize money, while Ambassa walked away with $1,500. A mixture of sun and clouds with humid conditions. A chance of some showers later today. The fine weather will continue tomorrow. And that is your FBC News now. Remember to join us at 7 p.m. for our major bulletin. For these stories and others, you can also tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. Enjoy your lunch. Good afternoon.
Bula FM
Bula FM number 2 NSR.